Hello everybody, it is the Lawn Gnome and welcome to another movie review over here on That's Comical. And if you happen to be watching this on a Wednesday, then happy new comic book day. So today we are here to talk about that movie, the one that everybody has been up in arms about for the last 2.5 weeks, and that of course is the newest addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Eternals, directed by Academy Award-winning director Chloe Zhao, and starring a fantastic cast including Game of Thrones stars Kit Harington and Richard Madden, Angelina Jolie, Gemma Chan, Salma Hayek, and Kumail Nanjiani, just to name a few. So, this is a movie that has been talked about to no end. People are really saying a great deal of things about this movie. Some people say it's very good, some people say that it is absolutely horrid. Rotten Tomatoes is probably the biggest story because this apparently is the lowest rated score for an MCU film based on professionals. Yet the fans, while they are also not ranking it as high as other movies, especially movies like Shang-Chi, which is actually the highest grossing film of 2021 as of today, even they are not giving it the greatest of reviews. And I personally said to myself, I really want to see this movie for myself. Number one, because of the fact that I want to give my own opinion. Number two, because I love bringing reviews to you guys. And probably the most important thing is the fact that I still have yet to break the streak of seeing every MCU film in theaters. That's right, I have seen them all since 2008's original Iron Man, so of course there was no way that I was going to let this streak snap. I personally thought that this was a very well done movie. It is very different from your typical MCU film, but you know something? That's okay. There's definitely some more focus on character development, on story building, as well as less action, which is actually something that I was not surprised that I got in this film. I feel that the real issue here is the fact that if you do not understand the concept of the cosmic beings in comic books, then this is probably going to be something that you are going to be a little bit iffy about, and there's a very good chance that you might not enjoy it. But all of the MCU films in Phase 4 happen to have been very big surprises. Maybe it's because of the fact that there was so much skepticism, and maybe it's because of the fact that I went into each of these current 3 films with low expectations. But at the same time, I had high expectations as a comic book reader, because when it comes to characters that don't often carry a title on their own, and you don't really find them in comic books that much, that means that the director and all the people behind that director have the ability to play around with these characters and really make them something wonderful for cinematic value. And I truthfully feel that that is what we got in Eternals. It's the story of these omnipotent beings that are sent to Earth 7,000 years ago by an even more omnipotent being called a Celestial. And their job is, while they're on Earth, to protect the human race from deviants, which are these very mangled, disturbing-looking creatures that are trying to hunt down and kill humans. So, the Eternals basically live with the humans, they help the humans on the side, not necessarily in full force, and then we go all the way to present day where we are now. The human race has thrived, and everything seems to be great, and even the Eternals themselves are truthfully enjoying their time on Earth among the humans. But the leader, who is played by Salma Hayek, Ajak, has learned something. And it is the true mission of the Eternals, and then it is a matter of a big decision. Do I do what my leader tells me to, or do I actually go my own way and continue to fight for and love the human race? I thought that this film was very well done. I loved the characters. I loved the score by Ramin Djawadi, who is known for great scores like Game of Thrones, Westworld, Pacific Rim, and even Iron Man from 2008. I think he did a great job. But there were some great moments in this film. There was some excellent action sequences. I thought the story was exactly what I thought it was going to be, and I personally liked that. Because as a comic book reader, Have I read Eternals comics? No, I haven't. But do I know that characters like them and the Celestials exist in Marvel Comics? Yes. And what you need to understand about cosmic beings is these are not superheroes. These are not necessarily the traditional things that you have seen in Marvel movies since 2008. These are characters slash beings that are extremely powerful. And the dangerous thing about that is the fact that they know that they are that powerful. These kinds of characters and beings have the ability to throw a planet out of orbit with the flick of a finger. They have the ability to extinguish the heat of a sun with a sneeze. They know that if they fight alongside lesser beings, there is a very good chance that not only will they stop the threat, but they may cause more damage rather than just saving the day. There were also some very big breakouts in this film. I think the best character in this movie for me was Liam McHugh, who played Sprite. This being that is 7,000 years old but is in the body of a child all this time. And because of the fact that this specific character is what it is, we see so many dimensions, and the choices that this character makes are very powerful, very gripping, and absolutely understandable. And that's why I love this character so much. But now let's get into the elephant in the room, because there are multiple elephants in this room. And I personally, as someone who went in as a comic book fan and someone whose expectations were somewhere in the middle, here are my thoughts. People are upset over the fact that this cast is not exactly the way they are in the comic books, because they are predominantly white in the comic books, and also most of them are males, so there were race and gender swaps. Did that take away from the movie? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I think it made more sense to make them a more diverse cast, because they all represented the entirety of the human race. There was a Latino, there was a white person, there was a black person, there were 2 Asian people, there were men, there were women, there were handicapped people. It all made sense to have all of these different diverse actors playing all these characters, because what they were showing us is this is the entirety of Earth, and they even spend a lot of time on different sides of the world. So it actually made more sense for this film and this story for them to be a diverse cast. The big elephant in the room that people are going completely over the top for is the wokeness because of the LGBTQ representation and the kiss. If that was your make or break point in this movie, I gotta be honest with you, I am sorry. Now look, I am not an LGBTQ activist. I do have friends who are part of the LGBTQ community, and I love them for the people that they are, but I'm not somebody that's going to go up in arms if there's LGBTQ representation or not in a movie. And if there is physical attraction between 2 members of the LGBTQ community, if it's there or not, I'm not going to lose my mind over it. This moment did not take away from the movie, nor did it add it. What it basically was showing me more so is how much of humanity the Eternals gained throughout their time on Earth, and it just was fine. It wasn't anything that was mind-boggling or truly changed the story for better or for worse. It's just something that made sense, but if it wasn't there, it wouldn't have changed the direction of the story at all. When I go over the concept of the cosmic being, people will actually say to me, well, that's all fine and dandy, but how do you explain the Guardians of the Galaxy or Captain Marvel? Well, it's very simple. These characters are superheroes in a cosmic being world. They are not as powerful as the cosmic beings. There's a very good chance that if they ever encountered one, they would be killed. So we are not seeing the superheroes. We are seeing the cosmic beings themselves. I also like the fact that they have the ability to really find each other's strengths and weaknesses, whether they are with or against each other. The Eternals, each of them has a very unique power. So one strength could be another's weakness. So if all hell broke loose, it would definitely end up being a crazy and interesting fight. And we kind of do get that in the film, but I'm not going to go into any major details. People also didn't like the fact that there wasn't a villain. Well, let's also understand that when it comes to the MCU films, the villains in the films are almost always extremely weak. And in this story, it is a much more interesting one because it is you either become the hero or you live long enough to become the villain. I really did appreciate that in this film. There are also 2 post-credit scenes in this movie, and one of them features some very interesting characters, and then there is one that features a character that I had no anticipation that was going to show up in the MCU, and I have a feeling there are really great things on the road ahead for Marvel, but I will definitely say that Eternals was a very big surprise. I really had a good time with it, and I really feel that it's not getting the credit it deserves just because this was a film that was trying to be different. This is a story that is very, very different. So, I don't want to cause any stirs, I don't want to get into any fights, but I'm just gonna say this. If you want to know more about cosmic beings in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, heck, you could even go into the DC Universe and find out more information. Just read some comic books. You don't even need to read Eternals comic books. Read the original Infinity Saga. Read The Coming of Galactus. Just read some comic books that have cosmic beings in them and understand where the cosmic being concept comes from. I am definitely planning to watch this movie again, and I am really excited to own this movie on DVD. What I'm really hoping for is that the Eternals will return, because I believe we're going to see the cosmic universe truly open up. The Eternals really do need to play a very big role, and if they do in fact show up again, I am here for it. I will definitely still say that this is not the perfect movie. There are definitely some points where I felt it was a little bit dull and it could have been picked up if you removed maybe 5 minutes from a scene. I also believe that not all of the actors were great. I think they could have done a little bit better. I was also very surprised by how much I enjoyed the comedy, and I will give that all to Kumail Nanjiani. I think he did a really good job, especially considering the fact that when it came to a movie like Black Widow, where I felt the jokes were forced, this time, it really doesn't, but there were some points where I thought that Kumail Nanjiani's character, Kingo, was a little over the top, and I was just basically saying, okay, buddy, take it back a little bit, and let's get back to the story. But in the end, I am going to give Eternals 3 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Leave your comments in the box below. Let's have a discussion. I really want to know if there are any other people out there that felt this way about Eternals like I did. I really was impressed by the bold filmmaking and the direction that this story went in. But in the meantime, I will see you in the next one.